Welcome one and all to a new series I'm actually working on. Welcome to TCG Mythbusters. Basically what this looks like, we're going to look at a bunch of different cards that's in the format right now. Any moves that seem kind of confusing, we're going to look at, test it, see if we can kind of, get around of what the ruling of it is. First off, we're going to go with Grapploct. I've actually bumped into this Pokemon. It's from Sun and Moon, obviously. When I wanted to use this Pokemon because it seems really useful. It seemed really useful. It seemed really good when I was reading it, and I put it into play, and I'm not quite sure anymore. So I'm not too sure. So I'm pretty sure a lot of people have been confused on Grapploct as well. But alright, first off, let's go through the basics. 130 HP is... it's alright for a stage 1. I mean, Buzzwole is kind of the same HP, and it's a basic. But then again, we've had lower stage 1 Pokemon, so it's alright. Fighting type, which means you get things like Karate Belt to get extra, to reduce by 1 fighting energy. Get Martial Arts Dojo for extra attack. You get the Anti-Prism Star for extra attack. You got a few things to boost fighting types right now. 2 retreat cost is great because Air Balloon gets it for free. Weakness to Psychic is a bit dodgy because Mewtwo and Mew is still running around, so be careful with that. And of course it has 2 attacks, but the main attack we're going to look at today is going to be Octolocked for 2 fighting energy. And it reads, until this Grapploct leaves the active spot, the defending Pokemon's attacks cost 2 colorless more. And defending Pokemon cannot retreat. This effect can't be applied more than once. So it seems kind of, there's a bit much in this attack. There's a few rules in this attack that we've got to kind of look at. So first off, we're going to look at the first bit. Until this Grapploct leaves the active spot. So that being said, if this Grapploct, the one that uses Octolocked in the first place, gets shuffled out, it doesn't matter who it is, it could be another Grapploct, it could be someone else on your bench. If it's swapped out, then this whole thing is null and void. It's the same attack cost, it's the same everything as it was originally. There's nothing else that can be done. Grapploct has to stay in the active for this to happen. He cannot get shuffled out at all. So that's kind of the first thing about it. The defending Pokemon's attack costs 2 colorless more. Now that is the main thing. That's very good. For some decks, that is very good. However, there are ways to go around this. If it's evolution deck, you could use triple acceleration energy. That's 3 extra energy, and that's Grapploct already done with if it knocks it out. Things like Welder could get 2 extra energy on, so that's already done. There are kind of ways. You could do Malamar BD if you really wanted to for Psychic Energy and another Psychic Energy from BD. There are ways to get around it, but besides Welder and Triple XL, it is very complicated. It's very complicated, but most times if you're not facing a Welder deck or Evolution deck that uses Triple Acceleration Energy, you're pretty much good. You're probably good. So that's great. That is really good. Next part of it, the defending Pokemon can't retreat. Now, there's ways to get around this. It is obviously, it's still a bit tricky. So obviously you have things like Switch, you have things like Mallow and Lana, you have things like Tate and Liza. There's ways to switch it out. You can, however, make a deck with Omastar from Team Up that prevents your opponent using item cards if you have less Pokemon on your bench than your opponent, or in play, should I say. So that's a good thing. However, you've got to make sure about that, because then the ideal way is that you have Omastar on the bench and then another Grapploct ready in case your active Grapploct is knocked out. So you have to be very careful of what you put on your bench. If you do work with the Anti-Prism Star, also keep in mind that is another bench spot, and you can't really get rid of Diancie that easily. It either has to be knocked out or you just can't put it on the bench. So if you're working in terms of power, be careful with putting Diancie on the bench. But if you're working in terms of stalling or just trolling, then you don't have to put Diancie down. It's pretty good. But yeah, defending Pokemon can't retreat. Also, there's a thing about this. I know some of you are probably wondering, if the opponent swaps out their active Pokemon and then swaps it back to the original Pokemon, so say for example, they pull a switch, bring someone out, then they retreat, bring the previous Pokemon back out there, would the effect still be in play? No. It will not be in play. It's treated like a new Pokemon. So even that, if they retreat and then retreat back, it can work that way as well. But then again, they have to use a Switch or Mallow and Lana or Tate and Liza to get rid of it first, to retreat first and then retreat afterwards. So the second Pokemon that also comes up also can retreat. I know it says, oh, until this Grapploct leaves the active spot, but that's the thing that kind of got me confused with this card at the beginning. Grapploct says until this Grapploct leaves the active spot, but also keep in mind that your opponent also has the chance to get out of the active spot as well. The only way this comes into play is if Grapploct and the Pokemon in question, the Pokemon that you originally used Octolock on, stay in the active and keep in the active. Other than that, it's great. Also, this effect can't be applied more than once. Now, when I read this as well, I thought, oh, you can only use Octolock once per Grapploct. Not true. Very, very not true. If Grapploct manages, say for example, your opponent does manage to kind of, you know, shuffle back, retreat to the original Pokemon and attack, but you're still not knocked out, you could do Octolock again and keep them there. That way they've basically wasted the switch, they've got a rework of how to do it, they still can't retreat because even though they have the necessary energy to retreat, they still can't. Even things with like a skateboard or air balloon, they still cannot retreat. It is brilliant. So that's pretty good. I don't mind that. But in terms of his attack, that's kind of how it goes. So keep in mind, there's a few things to keep in mind. So Grapploct cannot be shuffled out. If you really want to, you can mess around with that. I know there's some certain Pokemon that say that they can't be gusted out into the active, or that support or that any cards can't affect them in terms of gusting out. There can't be any. Also, keep in mind that your opponent, once they get out of the active, Octolock is cancelled, so keep in mind of that as well. Keep in mind of Welder decks, either get ready to just go with Tough Swing, by the way, which is 130 damage, 2 fighting, 1 colorless, and doesn't get affected by resistance, so good for ghost decks. Just pointing that out there. So keep ready for Welder decks, keep an eye out for decks that like to use triple acceleration energy, also keep in mind that for them, so that could be very, very risky for Octolock. You would probably have a better chance just blitzing them with Tough Swing. But yeah, a deck that I would probably suggest using Grapploct with is obviously Omastar. So that's like kind of the main card to prevent things like switch, because not many decks, not every single deck uses things like Malamon Lana or even Tate and Liza. That you do see it in play, but not a lot of people like to use it. So it could work out, but then again, keep an eye out if they do. It's always a sense of keeping one step ahead. If you feel like they're going to use Tate and Liza or Mallow and Lana, then keep an eye out, get ready for a Tough Swing if you need it. If you don't think they do it, then go Octolock, take your time. You've got more than enough time to get whatever you need done. That's kind of the main premise of it. Also, in terms of draw support, you could do Miss Magius. That way, Miss Magius gets you to draw up to 7 cards from your hand. Your opponent takes a prize for it, but you also get an extra bench space because obviously it goes in the discard pile, which gives way for Omastar and also gives way for things like Karate Belt to speed up your process of using Octolock. I would suggest if you're doing Omastar again, I would highly suggest Pokemon Research Lab. The deck I personally used for Grapploct had the Anti-Prism Star because we're trying to do a stall and attack. But also keep an eye out because again, Diancie will take a bench space. There's other cards you could put with it, but I'm not too sure. I've kind of been messing around with Grapploct ever since I've seen it in Sun and Moon. So it is very good. Fighting type as well. You get a one-hit KO on things like Pikarom, Choo Choo GX, Tapu Koko Prism Star, more Pico. It's great. You've got a lot at your disposal to one-hit KO. But also keep in mind that Octolock is very, very specific. It's a very specific rule set, and there's a lot of ways to go around it. But if you make your deck properly, if you make your deck really specifically for preventing them from retreating, you're golden. You could do things like Crushing Hammer to get rid of their energy. You could do a lot of things. But that's my opinion anyway. You mess around with Grapploct all you want. Tell me what decks you've made with Grapploct. I'd love to hear it because I've always loved messing around with Grapploct. It's just very weird to get a deck running for him. He's obviously not a top tier card. I wouldn't put him as a top tier card. He's a good fun card to work with. You could put him in as a tech if you want to mess around and get other cards ready to go. He can work pretty well as a deck on his own if you really want to go that way. But again, that's my opinion anyway. Let me know what you've done with Grapploct, if you put him as a tech, if you put him as an active deck. Let me know what the deck is around Grapploct if you have. Also, if you have any questions, please ask in the comments. I'll try my hardest to answer it the best that I can. This is kind of what I've got through by playing with Grapploct, so I don't know the official kind of things with Grapploct, but from what I've played, this is kind of what I've got out of him. So yeah, guys, that's kind of it from me anyway. Again, any questions, ask in the comments, ask away as much as you want, I don't mind. And as always, if you enjoyed, always click like and always click on the video. You guys are always welcome back, and I hope to see you guys in another edition of TCG Mythbusters. Right, guys, see you later. Okay, bye.